Okay, so I'll just introduce myself. So my name is Katie Stevenson. I'm the coordinator for the University Studies program, and I work really closely with quite a few of our other programs as my courses kind of channel in towards a lot of our different program offerings. And I also work closely with the University of Calgary and coordinate our Bachelor of Education partnership that we have with them. So I'll be talking about both of those programs tonight. And I'll just give you kind of a broad overview. And then, like I said, we can talk about some specifics if that's what you'd like to do. Okay. So some fun facts about our program is that it is up to 2 years of full-time study, but that depends on your goals. You get a university studies certificate after completing 8 courses or 24 credits, and then you get a diploma after completing 20 courses or 60 credits. So for somebody who wants to take the social work pathway, you actually graduate with a diploma in social work and a certificate in university studies. And for somebody who wants to take the Bachelor of Education program, it's also possible to get a diploma in university studies and then go on to get your Bachelor of Education with the U of C. Courses can be taken full-time or part-time. Part-time in the fall is 1 or 2 courses, and 1 in the spring or summer, and then full-time in the fall is 3 or 4 courses, and the spring and summer sessions. Okay, sounds good, Autumn. Yeah, for sure. Full-time in the spring or summer is 2 courses. To get into our program, we ask that you have a 60% in English 30-1 or equivalent. So for folks who are out of the province, we do have equivalencies that our admissions folks can help you with. Or you can get a 30-2 on English, 70% on English 30-2, or we have our career and college preparation courses. We offer English 0190, and you need a 60% in that, or you can write an AccuPlacer assessment. So that's admissions to our program. And all of our other programs have different admission requirements. So just because you're admitted to one program doesn't necessarily mean you're admitted to another. So keep that in mind. Oh, Autumn's back. It seems like maybe we're working now. Autumn, can you hear us okay? Perfect. Excellent. And so our delivery model is pretty cool. It's one of the things I think that makes us unique, and that is that we offer it completely online for university studies. And we offer live classes in the fall and winter. It's one live class per week for about 3 hours in length. And in the spring and summer, we offer 2 live classes per week per course, also 3 hours in length, so that we get that live instruction component. And for those of you who are working and you can't attend those live sessions, we do record those classes so you can watch them at your leisure. And I do say at your leisure, but certainly within the week of the class is highly recommended. So it's very flexible. Here's the cost of our program. You can see that it is frequently it's a lot cheaper than university. So that's one of the nice things about partnering with the University of Calgary, is that you can save a little bit of money and still get a high quality education with us for your first 2 years for the Bachelor of Education. And for the social work program, again, very similar, good, quite affordable tuition for us. So for one course, we have the tuition fee of $429. If you're only part-time, you have a $65 tech fee. You have student association fees, and the total is $528.50 for one course if you're just taking one, all the way up to a full-time load, 4 courses of $1,900 per term. So these fees do change every year. So if you're thinking of coming to us in the fall, these fees will have changed most likely. And they go up usually just ever so slightly if they do change in the year. So make sure you check on that. And note that it doesn't include the cost of books. Depending on your courses, you're looking at anywhere from about $50 all the way up to about $150. But most of our textbooks run between about $80 and $100. And you can use, for most of our courses, we have ebooks as well as the actual paper copies if you're a hard copy type of person. Okay. Oh, that did not come through as nicely as I thought it was going to. Oh my goodness. Okay. So that, sorry folks, this slide was a lot bigger and had a lot more text when I prepared it. But the courses that we offer, I can actually, I'll see if I can fix that towards the end here. But the courses that we offer are quite broad. We have a real range of courses. I'm actually going to pop the link into the chat here of the courses that we offer so that you can take a look at that. So just one second here. I'm going to scroll down and grab you the links for our courses so you can see the wide range that we offer. We offer courses in things like psychology, English, sciences. We have some history courses, political science. There's a whole range of courses that we offer. So I'm just throwing that in to the chat box. Or if you want to just open that up and scroll down to the bottom, that would be great. And you can see all the offerings that we have. Okay. Any questions about the courses that we offer? Anything I've talked about so far? Okay. Awesome. Okay, so I'll just wait for Autumn there. Oh, that's a great question, Autumn. So if you are to, actually, Autumn, for your case specifically, actually, I can talk to you both about this, but I'll talk about it when we get to the BEd portion of the class. So I help you pick your courses. So what we do is we look at, okay, so you want to do early childhood education. Let's say that's what you want to do. Then I program plan with you. I talk about your teachable goals. We look at your prerequisites, what you've completed in high school. And then together I say, these are the ones that a range of courses that you can take to fill these different options, and then you pick from those choices that you have there. So for some courses, you have quite a bit of choice, and for some courses, you don't really have much choice at all, because we're looking to fill specific requirements. For social work, I can tell you, if that's a question that you've had, potentially, Jake, for social work, you can take 8 courses with us. So there's 2 English classes, a health education class, 2 psychology classes, 2 sociology classes, and an elective. And so those are specific classes that you would take. So yeah, I help you with the courses that you need to take. I tell you which ones, I tell you when, and then give you some choices within those. Does that answer your question? Okay, perfect. Okay, so where can you use your credits? So there's a couple places. So we've talked here, we've got both of these situations here. So we've got the credits that you can transfer into our other Northern Lakes programming. So we have addiction services worker, early learning and childcare, education assistant, EMT, paramedic, practical nurse, and social work. So these are the different programs that we offer that you can transfer your courses in. And then the other one that you can use is transferring your credits over to the University of Calgary. So, pardon me. So we do have a transfer agreement with the University of Calgary, which means that the courses that I help you plan are accepted by the University of Calgary, so long as you do it within the window. 10 years is typically, we call it stale dating. So you have to do it within that period, but otherwise those courses you can assume that they will transfer over to the University of Calgary for their program. We do have some courses in our transfer guide here. And so I've had a couple of students in the last couple of years who've used our courses to go to Grant MacEwan or to Northwest Polytech or to the U of A. I'm trying to think where else they've gone. King's in Edmonton. So we've got courses that will transfer to other institutions, but we can't make that decision. We can't do any kind of guarantee. So if you're looking to transfer into another institution, you should always check with that institution first. Okay, so that's kind of it for the university studies portion of this. Jake, you don't necessarily have to stick around for the BEd if you don't want to, but if you have specific questions about the other anything else about university studies, go ahead and ask them. If you don't want to hang out, that's totally fine. Would any transfer out of province? Oh, that's a great question, Jake. So we don't have any transfer agreements with institutions outside of the province, and I can't speak to any other institutions, right, other than our own. What I will say is that we have accepted credit from other provinces at our institution, so there is a chance that they would be accepted. The best thing to do if you were looking at, say, transferring to university in Manitoba, or maybe you want to go to Ontario or Saskatchewan, if you're looking to transfer there, I would connect with their admissions folks and just ask if they would accept credit. A lot of institutions won't be able to give you an evaluation until you're admitted, but they may be able to give you an idea of whether or not they would consider credit from out of province and what that would look like. Yeah, you're welcome. Do you have any other questions for me? Yeah, perfect. Okay, so I see Autumn's typing, and then I'm going to carry on with the dates for the next intake. Great question, Autumn. So we actually are still accepting applications to start in May. May 1st is our start date. That's our condensed term. So that means that it goes from May 1st to June 25th. And then we have another term that starts in the summer as well. We have fewer courses that we offer over the summer, but that one runs from July 4th, I believe, to about August 26th. I'd have to verify those dates exactly. But yeah, so our next intake is May. And then we can talk a little bit when we get further into this. I'm going to tell you a little bit about the application deadlines for the University of Calgary. Okay, how condensed are the spring courses? Great question. So spring and summer courses go twice as quickly, a little bit more than twice as quickly as our fall and our winter courses. So our fall and winter courses typically run 14 weeks. And so that gives you you have like a week for your midterms, and you have your instructional weeks spread out through the rest of those. So the summer term and the spring term are approximately 6 weeks in length. So as an example, for our psychology 1060 course, typically you would have a quiz every week. So you'd have 12 quizzes in that course. So if you're looking at doing that in the spring term, you're going to have 2 courses per week. So that's kind of an idea of the workload. It basically doubles. Does that help? And that's why we say you can only take 2 courses maximum in the spring and summer terms, because that's very much a full load. Pardon me, I'm just going to have a sip of water. Yeah. So that's always so Autumn, you're asking the kind of time commitment and is it doable to do while working full time? So there's a couple of factors here. So first one is which courses you're taking and how you find those courses. So for me, I would find, so for example, we have a health ed course or a comm class, and I'm really enthusiastic about that material. It would come to me quite easily. So I'd probably be looking at about 10 hours per week for each class. So a total of 20 hours. By the time I was doing my readings, watching lectures, doing my assignments, probably about 20 hours. However, for myself, I do find, say, like our stats a little more labor intensive, or some of our higher level English courses. And so for those courses, I might want closer to maybe 15 hours per week to be working on that content, because, I'm going to have some papers that I have to write, and that's going to take me some time. So it's very much dependent on the person. We do have people, as an example, I've had moms who come into this program. They've got young children who are in school and they're working full time and they're doing a full course load. Are they feeling are they feeling a little bit stressed? Absolutely. But are they doing it? Also, yes. We also have some students that maybe just require a little bit more time, and so it takes them a little bit longer. If they're working full time, one course is more than enough for them. So it totally depends on you. So suggestion that I have is, if you're interested and you're thinking you might want to try it, I do have course outlines, so you can always email me and ask me for the course outlines for the courses that you're interested in. And if you just want to get things started, I can help you with courses that maybe have a little bit less in terms of like research papers and more kind of an assignments based. So we can make some adjustments to the courses. I can send you the course outlines. And then the other kind of emergency measure that we have is that you have 5 days once the term starts to drop a course for a full refund less your commitment fee. Okay. So yeah, we do have a lot of people who are working part-time and full-time and still doing part-time or full-time studies, but it is a very personal question. So it totally depends on how fast you read, how fast you write. If people in your home are giving you space to do the work, right? So if you've got a partner, or if you've got kids, or even just like a really demanding pet, you never know. I hope that helps, even though it's not maybe the clearest answer. It is, it's about as good as I can answer that. Okay, awesome. So I'm going to move into this next piece, which talks about our partnership with the Bachelor of Education. And just really quickly, I'll go over some of the advantages. I will say I'm very biased. My first degree is a Bachelor of Education. I have loved this job. It is, or this degree, it's given me all kinds of opportunities to travel. It's given me all kinds of opportunities to try different things. And it's been a great stepping stone, as well as a great way to really have a positive impact on the lives of kids and adults. So here's a little snapshot. And again, this is a little bit small. I'll see if I can make this a bit bigger here. So as a secondary teacher, you require a degree, approximately $78,000 a year as a provincial average, and relatively good demand. Now, the best way to see how much you're going to be making if you are wanting to be a teacher is to look at your collective agreement at the school district that you're thinking of working in. So the school district will have a collective agreement that you can review, and it will list what the salaries are with 4 years of education and no years of experience. It'll tell you what you'd be making to start. And just knowing that it does go up. You get paid more with each year of experience, up to either 10 or 12 years. Totally depends on your district and the number of years of education that you have. So there are lots of opportunities to grow. So the working conditions, of course, you work from August to July with approximately 6 weeks off during the summer. Now, a lot of people are like, oh, but you have the whole summer off. It's not true. It's still great vacation time in the sense that you get, you have some time on spring break and some time over Christmas and then some time during the summer. You will work very hard during the school year. I'm not going to lie, especially your first couple years, because you'll be doing, unit planning, year plans, unit plans, and lesson plans without having done any of it before. So as you kind of get better at that and you have more experience, you can take your lesson plans from the year before and revise them. So you're not reinventing the wheel after that first couple of years. So you do work quite a lot, especially those first 2 years. I'm not going to lie, but you also do get that great time off. So you will work usually a couple days into July, just with like tidying up your classroom, getting everything ready, that sort of thing. And then you come back at least a week before the kids do in August to start setting up your classroom, doing your lesson plans, those sorts of things. And so you will start the day before the students get there and you'll stay late. Lesson planning, marking, or running extracurricular activities. So my first year of teaching in Canada, I coached the volleyball team, the basketball team, the track team, and then I also ran the travel club. So I took students down to Costa Rica, which was fantastic. Great opportunity for me, great opportunity for the students, but definitely a lot of work. I remember calculating my hourly wage, and I would never recommend that in your first year. So once you get better at it, absolutely go ahead. But until after that, don't do it in your first year. So it is a very rewarding, but physically and emotionally demanding career. So, I mean, sometimes you have your kids are going through tough stuff and you care about the kids. So it can be a little bit challenging that way, but it also is incredible because I'm still in touch with a couple of the students from my first couple of years of teaching. And, they send me pictures of their babies and all that kind of stuff. So that's really great to still have that connection with the students, even, 15 years on. So some of the options that you have if you have a degree in secondary education or an ed degree is you may be able to work in public or private schools or separate schools. So I'm close to Calgary here, and there are quite a few private schools, for example. So if you have a passion for art, you can work at an art school. If you have a passion for languages, there's that option. There's sports schools, all kinds of different schools that you can work at. You can also potentially work in vocational schools or colleges like this one, which I love. You could be a department head. You could potentially work in other facilities like hospitals or in government, those sorts of things. You could be a school administrator. You could work within your school system. So the division I belonged to for quite a few years was Peace Wapiti up by Spirit River. Grand Prairie area, and some of my colleagues went from being teachers to being like divisional coaches. So you're working within the division, coaching other teachers and supporting them with tech or with IEPs, things like that. Elementary, very similar wages, very similar demand, and also very similar options, although there is the option potentially to consider working at, play schools or daycares, things like that, if you have an early childhood specialization. And again, private, public schools, hospitals, other governmental agencies. I've worked in a not-for-profit for many years, teaching adult education in Dawson Creek with my Bachelor of Education, and then moved into the community college setting about 6 years ago. So really great opportunities. Okay, so how does this work, this program? So I want to be really clear. So Autumn, you're talking potentially about early childhood. So within our program, there are 6 different we call them teachables. So when you think about a Bachelor of Education, so for example, my Bachelor of Education, when I went to university, I studied high school. So I have a secondary education, like that's my specialty, with a major in social studies and a minor in physical education. Okay, so that's typically how it would happen. Or you'd have a major in elementary education with a minor in, say, music, English, science, something like that. That's kind of how your on-campus programs typically run, either high school or elementary. Now, this program is different. It's designed specifically for rural schools. So you'll know that in Peace River, recruitment and retention is often a challenge, say with Grand Prairie, Spirit River, Dawson Creek, all of those northern rural communities. So the program is designed to meet the needs of those communities. And so the specialties, the subjects that you can major in are English, social studies, revitalization of Indigenous languages, math, science, and early childhood. So early childhood is the only one that actually has a range of elementary. So it's from K to 3. All the others are considered K to 12. So you could potentially work as an elementary teacher or a high school teacher with that degree. And then there is, like I said, the specialization of early childhood, which is considered K to 3. And so that would gear you more towards those earlier classrooms. Now, to gain entry to university studies, we talked about this already, you only need that grade 12 English at that percentage, right? So 60% in 30-1 or 70% in 30-2 or equivalent. However, if you are planning to go to the University of Calgary, they do have some additional requirements depending on the teachable. So if you want English, social studies, or revitalization of English language, or revitalization of Indigenous language, I can help you to get those credits within our program to meet those requirements. If you want early childhood, math, or science, you do need to have specific high school courses. So for the early childhood, you do need to have a math 30-1 or math 30-2. You have to have passed that. It also helps, although it's not required, to have a 30 level science, because then that gives you more options for the math or science courses that you would need. Okay. So typically what happens is students would apply. So say you came to us in May, you would apply, you'd come to us in May, and you would spend approximately 2 years. Okay, perfect, Autumn. That sounds great. You'd spend approximately 2 years with us doing your studies. And then you have to do a separate application. So just because you're admitted to Northern Lakes does not mean that you're admitted to the University of Calgary. We have that agreement with them that lets us transfer our credits over, but you still have to meet minimum GPA requirements, and in some cases meet their competitive GPA. So the minimum GPA you need. Oh, hi. Okay. Sorry, folks. So the minimum GPA you need for the Bachelor of Education is a 2.7, and some programs have higher competitive averages. Okay, so again, just because you're admitted to us doesn't mean you're admitted to the UC. You do have to do a separate application and meet their entrance requirements at the UC. I can help you verify what those are and make sure that you're on the right track, and let you know if you're going to have to upgrade or something like that. Some of your courses, that's all fine, but you do have to meet the requirements. So their applications open in October. I believe it's either October 1st or 15th. I can't remember the exact date. And then they close March 31st. And if you're accepted, so let's say you started with us in May and you decided, yeah, I'm ready to go to the University of Calgary coming up, you do have to be willing to go to Calgary. I just want to see if I've got that here, right here. So they have a 2-week summer institute at the University of Calgary for 3 summers in a row. So that's the 2nd and 3rd week of July when you have to be on campus. Everything else happens in your rural and remote communities. So our courses are all delivered online and synchronously. And then the University of Calgary has online synchronous courses as well, with the exception of that 2-week summer institute for 3 summers in a row. So you do have to be able to go for those those 2 weeks physically to Calgary. Usually it happens right around Stampede. So there's some, you can study and you can also go check out the rodeo, get some food from the food trucks there, that kind of thing. So it's kind of exciting, but you do have to go there. So the other caveat is that once you are in the University of Calgary, you do have 4 practicum placements. So you have a 2-week, a 4-week, a 6-week, and an 8-week placement. So that's usually, if you were doing that in 2 years, it would be fall, winter, that you'd have those practicums. And those typically happen in your home community. So if you are, say, from Peace River or Slave Lake, they will hopefully be able to get you a practicum placement in that community. However, students do have to be able to drive up to 90 kilometers one way for a practicum placement in rural areas. So just keeping that in mind that yes, most of this is going to be in your home community. And for some people, it's almost everything except for those 2 weeks. But for some folks, they do have to drive to the neighboring town to be able to get a placement. So for autumn, I'm just thinking like potentially as far as Fairview or Grimshaw, those places, potentially. But normally students tend to stick around home. Okay. And so ideally, you would be able to commit full time to your studies, but we know that that's not the reality for most adult learners. So our programs and the Bachelor of Education are designed for folks who are working. And so I just wanted to come back to this slide here. So I've just picked 3 streams here to show some examples of the classes that we have. So we have Women in Literature, Survey of Indigenous Canadian Literature, Survey of Literature for Younger Children, Pathology of the Bestseller. So those are some of the courses in English. Social Studies has a huge range, history, psychology, geography, and the Revitalization of Indigenous Languages stream. You do have to take a Cree language with us. You can look for other languages at other institutions, but for right now, this is what we're offering for Indigenous languages. It's what most of our students speak or what their cultural background is. So that's why we offer the Cree. And the math and science and early childhood have different teachables as well. So again, these are our teachables, and I'll explain the structure of the degree as well here. So the degree has 19 classes that you take with us, and then 21 classes that you take at the University of Calgary. So a total of 40 classes. With us, you would take 6 foundational classes. So that is some kind of a Canadian studies, an English course, a psychology, a health, a math or science, and a fine arts. Then you take 8 courses in your teachable subject. So if you wanted to take English, you would take 8 English classes. If you wanted to do early childhood, then you would do another fine arts, 2 specific classes around early childhood education that you actually have to take at the U of C, another psychology class, a senior English class, a senior science class, and I'm missing one. I'll have to think about it. I have to look at our chart. And then you have 5 electives. So your electives are things that interest you. So Autumn, you had mentioned that psychology was interesting. So you could beef up your psychology undergrad or your undergraduate courses in psychology and take all 5 electives in psychology if that interested you. Some people want the easiest courses for their electives because they want a break. Some people just want things that interest them. Some want things that might apply to a master's degree or help them with a master's degree later on. So it just depends on you. So that's, I've covered all that stuff. Again, our fees here are the same fees as university studies. This is a quote from one of our previous students, and she said, "The partnership between NLC and UC enables individuals who are not able to commit to campus life or full-time in-class lectures like myself, the opportunity to engage in the required courses and requirements to still complete my lifelong goal of becoming a teacher, a goal I thought was out of reach due to family and other commitments that I was unable to sacrifice." So it gives people that opportunity to kind of balance their personal lives and their professional lives and their educational lives. Okay, so that is the Bachelor of Education in a very quick nutshell, as well as the university studies. So keeping in mind that for students who do want to come into the Bachelor of Education, I have at least 2 seminars that I offer each year. One that's kind of an intro to the program, and then another that is from the University of Calgary that talks about the program as well as the application process. So, and you can always phone me if you're like, I forget how this is going to work. Can you tell me what happens next, etc.? I'm happy to have a conversation with you. So I am here because it is a ton of information to try to remember. And until you've kind of gone through it, it can be, you'll probably have questions. So any questions about, if you wanted to, could I take my final 2 years in person in Calgary? Yes. So you would apply for the on-campus version. I have a student there right now who did, I don't remember if she did the full 2 years or a year and a half with us. The planning is a little bit different. So if you were certain that that was the way you wanted to go, then we would look at the on-campus requirements and we would fill those ones as best we could. They're very similar, but there are some differences. So yeah, Autumn, we could totally target that. And you could do your first 2 years with us and then apply to go on campus in person in Calgary for sure. Yeah, I've got a student who's doing that right now. Any other questions? Dual credit options, yes. So that you're in Peace River. I believe we have an agreement with your school division, but I can give you the name here. Let me just pull his email up. So Brian Panasic, are you currently in high school, Autumn? I'm just typing his address in here for you. I just want to double check that that's spelled correctly. Okay. Yeah, so perfect. I would check. So Brian Panasic is our dual credit coordinator, chair rather, sorry. And I've copied him here, put his email in the chat for you. So he's absolutely the person to talk to. I do believe we have an agreement. So it would be a matter of discussing it with your division and with Brian. And they may be able to offer you a couple courses before you turn 18. That's a great idea. Really great idea if you have that option. Any other questions? Yep, you betcha. So my email is here. Just typing it in. So that's my email. And then this is my direct line. If you wanted to give me a call directly, that's my direct phone number. And yeah, happy to, if you're like, I forget, you can also just call and ask to talk to Katie Stevenson, like call our switchboard, and I can direct you to Brian as well. And he can put you in touch with the folks at your district to see if they might be able to support you with that. It's a great option if you can get it. And also, Autumn, once you are in your third and fourth year of your program, there may be an option for the NABC bursary. I'm not sure if your district is part of it. I think they are, but they pay, I believe it is up to $6,000. Oh, it is perfect. So $6,000 for those last 2 years on a return service bursary. So you could get a sizable portion of your studies paid for here with some of these scholarships and grants. It's a great option. Alrighty, folks, have a lovely evening, and we'll chat soon.